Hey, innovators! Welcome at the first Speak Up Saturday. I'm here today. My name is Henk Werner of Troublemaker with Vitaly Stockman of Deskme. Hello, Vitaly.
Greetings.
So, where are you hanging out today?
Live from Helsinki, from Finland, northern part of Europe, and we're happy to be in touch. Greetings, everyone.
Really great to have you. And I already told it a little bit in my Facebook Live yesterday. We know each other since last year. You were here at Tech Barbecue, the first Tech Barbecue China last year in November. You did a presentation, and since then we kind of became friends, chat once in a while, and yeah, I kept following you, and I've seen you making good progress with your company. So I thought this is a great moment to introduce you to basically to the public. Can you tell us a little bit more about what you do?
Yeah. Thank you, first of all, for the opportunity to share what we do, and then, indeed, it's been very special times. Last year, before all these viruses, before the crisis that happened afterwards, but we had actually amazing time in Shenzhen, and it's I can see that so much potential in the area, in the community there, and especially in what you do in Shenzhen by connecting, enthusiasts with the right
I do
connections and
I do
tools.
the easy part.
Yeah.
You do the hard work.
Yeah, well, it depends on how you look at it. All of it is very special. So yeah, and ever since, by the way, since my China visits last year, I actually made 3. We've been actually doing a lot in a direction of, like, also not just not just working with hardware to hardware manufacturers in China, but with Chinese markets and realizing the potentials that exist there and so on. And overall, I think that nowadays, like, Asia should be one of the first uh, targets for any like serious global startup or a company, any
Right.
initiative actually. So yeah,
Now,
yeah.
tell first a little bit more about what you do, because these are all things what probably makes sense more if everybody understands what you're working on.
Yeah. So yeah, I represent Deskme as a startup. We founded already some 3 years ago, or even a bit more, if we count the time before we registered the company. And it's all about efficient office spaces. We make it easy to book office desks and meeting rooms and other resources like sleeping capsules, hardware manufacturing equipment, anything else that you want to share with your colleagues or even externally. So we make it very easy. And very interesting thing is that since after this COVID, actually we had huge increase of interest in what we're doing, as if what we're doing has become like 100 times more relevant, because everyone is now looking for efficient utilization of the office space because of the remote work trend. Many people are working remotely, and so offices are used completely different now. And it's especially important to make sure that you use them efficiently nowadays, to stay competitive, to stay efficient. That's why, yeah, we have a spike of interest, and it's very like really, it was relevant even before that. It was actually all happening. Just the situation got everything accelerated towards this remote work and flexibility, and that's all
So
what Deathme is about.
so why do you want to share an office? I mean, why don't you just want to have your own office?
Well, yeah. So again, because of this remote work trend, people, companies where they used to have like full office of people, sometimes now have like only 30% of desks occupied on average because of the remote work, and not just that, also because of people are traveling more than ever. People are, maybe doing some different group works, kind of temporary projects in different locations. So it's not really so that we are sticking to the same working desk anymore like we used to. So yeah, and it makes a lot of sense to make your office flexible so that it reflects the way you work, and therefore it allows you to have, you only take a desk when you need it, and when you don't need it, somebody else might be using it. So then 100 people can work efficiently on an office of only, like, say, 30 desks sometimes, and everybody still gets a desk.
And why do they need you to share a desk? I mean, can I not just leave my desk and somebody else going to sit there?
Yeah, so it's a obvious solution. Actually, I might actually show a few slides about it a bit later.
Okay.
But the problem is that how do you know if it's not full already? When you're doing this aggressively, that means you have many more people than desks. Then there's a real risk of all places being taken. When you arrive, you would learn that. So then you have to make other changes. What if you could know that in advance? And that's what Deskme is about. It tells you in real time how loaded your office is, what's the real-time utilization you can reserve, and therefore you know that the right desk will be waiting for you. And then you can also find your colleagues, because again, that's a new problem that, okay, if colleagues are not sitting in the same places every day, then how do you find them? Especially if the office is big, it becomes a really important question. So then Deskme also can show you in real time where each colleague is, so you can easily find them, and so on.
Nice. You mentioned some slides. Do you want to show that now, or?
Yeah, perhaps we could go through that. So basically, I could start with introducing a little bit of what we're doing by showing these slides, and then later I will be able to answer any questions and comment overall about the story. So this is actually.
Let me quickly tell the people that are watching that we are live on my personal Facebook page, on the Troublemaker fan page, and on the Troublemaker YouTube page, and we are live using an app called StreamYard, who can stream simultaneously to all those channels. It also means that if you want to ask questions or you want to leave a comment, you can do that on any of those 3 channels, and I will see that here in on my laptop, and I will see where from which channel you asked the question. Now, there is one thing a little bit important, that if you want me to address you by your name, then you have to grant StreamYard one-time permission to know your name. So in the post in the live, you can see a link. It's a streamyard.com/Facebook. If you go there and you said allow StreamYard to know my Facebook name, you have to do that only one time in your life. It will be registered from then on. And then if you post a comment, I can see them coming in, or a question, and I can also see your name, so we can address you personally. Of course, if you want to bully us and you don't want us to know who you are, then don't do that. That's it for the housekeeping. Vitaly, please go ahead with your slides.
Yeah, thank you. So yeah, I will show some slides that I usually show to our potential customers, partners, and just so that you see the whole story from the way it's presented, usually to our partners and customers. And then I will make a special comments at some steps. So yeah, Deskme is all about efficient workspaces, and it means quite a lot nowadays. By the way, the picture is actually from Shenzhen, Nanshan area, which is a really amazing place. So we decided to use it as a like banner picture. So yeah, Deskme has a vision that in the future companies will own less of their own office space and rely more on shared and flexible office spaces environments. So it's already what is happening. What's happening, like actually where Henk is, Troublemaker community, which has a co-working space as well, or you can actually see those co-working spaces all over the world. They are like popping up and still continue to grow at enormous rate. And some estimate that in 10 years, like 30% of all offices will be shared. So it's definitely moving in that direction, and will just be becoming more and more relevant. And we would say even that in order to be competitive, organizations will need to switch to this kind of flexible office and flexible working mode. So what is the problem we're trying to solve? It's like if you visit some innovative companies' offices, even the innovative ones that are supposed to be on top of the game in this, still, like, I don't know, Google, Microsoft, Tieto, and others, cool companies, you might notice, if you visit their office in the middle of the working day, you might notice a very common thing that like more than half of the desks are empty. And that's because offices were built for not for the way that we work today, but for the way we worked yesterday. And so in many cases, it's still like that. And so those offices are actually premium office locations with that cost a lot. So it's a lot of wasteful practice here. So obvious solution to address it is to switch to hot desking. And there's nothing new about hot desking. It's been around for years, and actually it's businesses used to get back to it during like crisis times, usually to cut costs and everything. But actually now it's experiencing a comeback for all new reasons. Not because it's crisis, even though there might be, but because it just reflects better the way we work and actually allows us better efficiency and flexibility with what we do. So we can actually benefit from being able to be at different places at different times, sometimes working from home and saving on commute time, sometimes working in a co-working space, which again may be saving on commute time, or maybe there is a better facility, or maybe we're traveling in other city. Business is much more international, much more global nowadays, so it's much more common than before. So yeah, it's actually giving us this flexibility that we really need. On top of that, it also opens door to some other flexibility in about time. So we could actually choose the time that we work when we have this kind of office flexibility. And this is it could be taking it to a whole new level, because we are all different and we all feel most productive in different parts of the day. So if we eventually could choose when we work, that could make us more efficient altogether. So yeah, if it's just switched to hot desking without any kind of special technological solution, then companies like it because obviously there's a huge cost savings. But the employees have new challenges. Like, what if we run out of desks? Very real risk when we have much fewer desks than employees. So what happens if that happens? And then finding a free desk can be also a challenging task in the morning. So you could be spending some time, especially in the big offices, you could be spending some long time to find an available desk. And then finding a colleague is also difficult because they may be sitting in different places every day. So you would end up like disturbing them by calling them to find out where they are, which is not a good thing. And again, as a side effect of all of that, increased distractions, which is also very, very significant when we're talking about productivity. We have to have possibility to focus, so we don't want distractions. So yeah, and Deskme addresses all of that by visualizing the office on a 3D map with each desk, meeting room, or any other shared resource visible in real time. By the way, Henk, you're still here? I just stopped hearing your audio. You're here, right?
Yeah, I muted myself
I see.
because we're in a makerspace and sometimes there is a little bit noise around us, and I don't want that noise disturb your presentation.
Good. Just checking in case some connection dropped or anything.
Yes.
Great. Okay, so yeah, this is our solution. Basically, it's a visual experience. I would say that the most important competitive edge of what we do at Deskme is our user experience approach that allows you to to do what you need to do when you're, interacting with your office in as few clicks as possible, in as few seconds as possible. So you could actually, according to our statistics, you can book a desk in 5 seconds and 3 clicks, and that's it. And then you forget about it. So only if it's done like this, then it's actually easy to establish it as a practice, because it's an extra step that you need to do. So, and maybe in some scenarios you might need to do it every day. So then the only reasonable way to do it is like that. It really takes as little effort as possible. That's what we try to do. And yeah, of course, the visual. There's a lot of side effects, positive side effects, like in a context that you see when you open the map of the office with real-time statuses. You see the layout, you see what resources are out there, what meeting rooms, what furniture, are there windows. It all is details, but important details. So yeah, so Deskme works as a web app, which can be accessed from any device. In fact, this demo URL, anyone can try it. You can open it on any device and see how it works from your even right now, if you like. So you
This
see
one?
what we're talking about. Yeah, the demo Deskme address. Yeah, so it's open
okay.
to everyone to try it. Yeah, to see what it feels like.
Okay.
And if you don't open that, then I can show you here the slides. So basically, you open the map, the location. Every location potentially has its own like short URL, and then you select the resource that you want to book, like a desk, meeting room, or something else. You select the time optionally. So we actually have smart defaults. So very likely we already pre-selected the time that you want to book. But if you want to customize, it's super easy to do. Let's say you only want the desk in the afternoon or only in the morning. So then it can be shared even with somebody else during the same day. And then you press reserve. And that's it. Now the desk is reserved. Others see my picture on it. So it's really, really a communication tool as well. Not as only the booking tool, but also communication tool. So it tells in real time what the situation is, who is where, and others can find me easily. And so now it says here that Vitaly Stockman is sitting here, and these are the hours that are booked from 8 to 16. So very, very transparent and easy to use.
Very nice.
So yeah, we currently have Deskme working in English, Russian, and Chinese languages, and we're adding more. Actually, funny that most of our customers are still in Finland, but nobody demanded Finnish language yet. So English is so okay with everyone here. But nevertheless, we're adding it, Finnish and Swedish, as this is actually quite widely used, of course. So yeah, next topic is that's where why originally I was coming to Shenzhen is the hardware. So it's not enough just to have a software app for the complete experience, because we felt in the beginning that if people just book a desk in the app, then there might be somebody who doesn't know that you are supposed to do it, and they just come and sit without knowing the rules. So we have to have some kind of physical layer to the digital layer, in addition to the digital layer of this whole experience, that will let them know that there is something there that you need to use some kind of app. So, and also to communicate availability. So that's why we came up to the concept that of the device that we could put on a desk, and which will translate in real time the status. So it looks like a small pyramid that we put with a LED light indicator, which is a main function. So it shows if desk is available, it's green. If desk is reserved, it's yellow. And then a very important, very small but important do not disturb function. So you could potentially mark yourself as busy, so that others don't talk to you about the weather or anything else. Actually, I have a funny illustration that I just borrowed from Time Chi Sean that he posted. Like you could be thinking about something in, especially developers or somebody who writes some important work. You have some big structure in your mind that you're thinking about, and just as 1 second interruption that somebody just asks you quickly, thinking that okay, it's just a second, so it will not do any harm. But it's true that 1 second interruption can cause you to lose like hours of thinking process, because you just have to spend a lot of effort to get back to where you were, you might even not be able to do that in the rest of the day. So you might even lose some important idea if one small disruption happens. So it's really important to have this kind of focus time and possibility to have this kind of distraction-free environment. By the way, this is also something that this TimeChi product from Sean from Australia can actually help. And we have this functionality as part of Deskme built into the desk status indicators. So it sort of, in a way, resolves that as well. That's how the prototype look like. It's a small pyramid which glows with the status light, and it allows you to reserve the desk either from the app, of course, that's the best way, or you can also do it in person by scanning your NFC key or by scanning QR code. Like in China, everything can be done with QR code. So we are borrowing that trend and trying to also spread it worldwide because it just makes sense. It's so easy to book, and you immediately see the booking interface for this particular desk by scanning this QR code, which works with any camera app nowadays. Of course, you can also just press a button which reserves the desk, but anonymously, so we don't know who is there, but we know that somebody is there. And finally, it's possible to reserve automatically. So theoretically, it's possible to enable such scenario when desks are automatically booked. You don't even have to have like employees to do anything. They just come and sit on the desk, and after a while, Deskme determines, okay, somebody's sitting there, so we should probably mark this desk occupied. So it also then it means it's anonymous, but in many scenarios it's also enough that we just know that real occupancy rate without knowing who is there. So it depends on the environment. Some people want privacy; they don't want their name to be broadcast. Some people, on the opposite, want and need to know where everybody is sitting in order to do their work. So yeah, there are many different environments, and we can adjust to that.
And
yeah, this is how it looked like.
I heard you saying the prototypes. So where in the process are you with the hardware?
Yeah, it's been quite a journey on the hardware part for us, because everybody at Deskme from our team has software background. So we were completely new to hardware, and it was a big learning process. So we have done everything so far by ourselves, by learning by doing, and doing the 3D printing, doing the PCB. Oh, I mean, not PCB, but using ready components like, if somebody knows, ESP32 chip, system on chip board, and then some other ready components like NFC scanner, LED light, button, presence sensor, and so on, and wiring it all together, programming it all together, connecting it to the cloud IoT hub, and so on. So it was a lot of interesting stuff in a way. But yeah, we are currently manufacturing it ourselves in a relatively small batches and delivering it to customers for trials to get feedback, to see how they use it, what they think about it, and fine tune it. And then yeah, we are actually also already very actively researching possibilities for mass production, because the way we do it now, we can do it maybe up to 100 pieces if somebody asks, and it's very difficult and time consuming. As soon as we get any big order, like 1,000 pieces, we have to have a mass production option ready, and that's why we are actually basically, that's where we're initially in Shenzhen, but we later found out there's many other reasons to be in Shenzhen. But yeah, so that's actually something.
Another question. You said until now you do small batches and you manufacture it yourself. So first of all, I think you did a great job, because I know several other software companies who were trying to do hardware and basically struggled with the firmware to make it work, because firmware is usually not the core competence of software developers. It's just a different kind of sport. So I think you did great there. But another thing is this way you're making it with off-the-shelf components. You haven't really developed your own boards yet, and I'm saying it with a little bit simplistic word. Let's say you glue all of those off-the-shelf stuff together, and then you have a product. Now, what is your experience in stability of that solution in the short term and in the long term?
Well, I would say that definitely there are many challenges, many trouble points that we had to go through to make it work. And I would say that stability, it works good enough for the current situation. And I think anybody who wants to develop some hardware product at this stage, it's good enough to have, especially in our case, like what we achieved, to test the concept with the customer. So if you can deliver whatever you have to the customers, and for them to be able to touch it, to press it, to try to use it on some basic, maybe it might be buggy, maybe it's something doesn't work, but as long as at least, and sometimes it works, like I mean, in our case, it's actually working mostly all the time. but even if in a very early prototypes, if you have some problems, definitely we had a lot of those. But still, it didn't prevent us from testing and having this exposure to customers, which is super important, because only then you know if what you think it does will actually do it, because unbiased opinion of the customer is always much more valuable for you than your own opinion, because you're like, of course, biased, you created it, you think it's best, but you have to have this feedback, and you never know what customers might suggest. They might have completely new things. In fact, for example, the NFC scanner we developed with customer feedback. They asked us, okay, what if you could just book the desk by swiping your NFC key on this device? And okay, yeah, we will add it, and we did, and now it's one of the most exciting features that people like. So it's really important to give it to customers and let them speak.
Right. Yeah. Again, I think you do the right way. Like you mentioned, it might not be super stable yet, but you can see this as a kind of market research. You kind of beta testing the hardware product in the market, getting customer feedback. So you develop your product according to customers' needs. So in a moment when you are ready to make the next step and develop your own board, you know exactly what you want. And you're not developing a board which is incomplete or for which there is no demand. So I think this is, again, a really important aspect of hardware product development.
Yeah, exactly. Yeah, and then I think that it's okay to have some problems. Very, very okay to have some instabilities or anything, any glitches, any bugs in the beginning, because that's what happens in the beginning. But it doesn't mean that you will not fix those later. But it does mean that it will help you to overcome this first step, because you get this feedback which allow you to go to the next step. And so yeah, it's very important. You will, of course, I mean, if somebody thinking some hardware development project, you will of course fix those problems later. So it's important to build for the situation that you have now, and not worry about like what you have tomorrow yet, because you just have to deal with it right now, with those demo pilot customers that you have, and to get them to try it, to experience the concept in a easiest possible way with available resources. And then, of course, tomorrow could be totally different. Of course, it could be very stable, professionally designed, where you could use some help from professional hardware designers and so on and so on. So yeah, have to be realistic.
Another question. What kind of people are there in your team? How many people are there working on this, and what do they do?
Oh yeah, I have a few slides also about that. Maybe I could jump to those. Okay, I can just list through some others that, yeah, I will get back to this screen topic briefly, but our team is right here. Basically, you can see. So we have Andrei Markeev and me are the original founders of Deskme. Well, I mean, original who started this solution. It wasn't even called Deskme at that point. And then at the early stage, we were pitching, of course, in many different startup events, our idea, and we spoke to Peter Westerbacke, who is actually a local celebrity here. Well, not just local. He's like European Elon Musk in some way, as people call him, because he's involved in many amazing ventures like Slush and like Lightyear and some many. Actually, I can not even list it. Like 20 amazing organizations. And anyway, he looked at what we were doing, and he liked it, and he and Kuusta, which were their partners in many of these ventures, were doing something similar to what we were doing, and we were basically competitors. But they liked our technological solution so much that we built at that point. It was just a very early prototype that they liked our thinking, so they offered us to join forces instead of competing. And that's actually a point I wanted to make also, that in many cases it's actually, especially if you're very early stage, it's nothing wrong to actually join forces with somebody. You actually increase chances for success of each other. So I see that many are like against any kind of, they think, oh, we'll do it all ourselves and so on. But in reality, even in our case, probably we wouldn't be still around without this partnership, because it really made not just it made like psychological help that you need to move forward, because it's definitely very difficult to start a startup and to push it forward. So sometimes you need those people just to support you in like a difficult time. So then I would say that it's very good to have a team, and of course if you can get somebody as exciting as Peter Westerback and Gustav Valtonen, that's even more amazing. But yeah, so we ended up joining forces and becoming all four co-founders officially of the company. We registered the company together after that, and then kept working on it ever since. So we had some also freelancers who are helping us, let's say, with 3D map modeling or some other tasks, but we're the four key employees basically of Deskme. And yeah, this was actually a few words about Peter Westerback. If somebody doesn't know, he's probably most known for Angry Birds. Everybody knows Angry Birds, so he is the man credited for the international success of this Rovio corporation that made Angry Birds. But since then, he made this amazing startup festival Slush, which is held in many cities in Asia and Europe annually, and then attracting 25,000 people in Helsinki here every year from all over the world. And then some educational startups. He has some. Of course, the biggest thing he's doing now is he's pushing for the tunnel. He actually is building the tunnel between Helsinki and Tallinn under the sea, which is amazing. And he's also cooperating with China a lot. By the way, that's maybe another thing what he's famous for.
I wanted to say, let's do this talk about you.
Yeah.
Because I think everybody can read up on Peter at their own convenience. But it's really great to have a guy like him on your team, of course.
Yeah. I mean, he's now part of the Deskme brand because he's really opening us a lot of doors, and
right.
And there is no free rides, so just also in case somebody also gets a superstar
so then
part of the team.
Another question, right?
Yeah.
We prepared this word bootstrapping. If you have somebody like Peter Westerback on your team who is pretty wealthy, why would you still want or need to bootstrap?
Okay, that's actually a good question. I also wanted to comment about it, to share some experience and some thoughts. Actually, I would say it's a common misconception that you need funding for the startup. In fact, nowadays there are so many resources that you can utilize that don't really cost much, that are free or cheap, that allow you to build a startup. There is cloud storage, and you don't really even need an office. You can work. There is many even communities that allow almost for free to use them. There is many accelerators that are happy to welcome you. Sometimes they even give you some resources, and so there is literally lots of resources that are available at your disposal that you can make your idea happen without taking investments and using any external capital. What's the problem with investments is that as soon as you take somebody else's money, it completely changes your startup or your initiative, because from that moment there is a priority to generate revenue. So basically you cannot necessarily prioritize on innovation as much, because, or at least not as much. So it's you have to always think about how do we generate revenue, how do we make it reasonable for those investors, responsibility to investors. And this can, in a way, this can kill innovation even. And because it changes the priorities, it makes it go after revenue rather than some original thinking sometimes. So I would say that it's actually totally okay to avoid it. And as our example shows, you can go forward quite a lot by bootstrapping it without using any external capital. It was our conscious choice not to seek investments. Of course, if somebody was really giving us the money and they were smart money that actually maybe open us some connections, not just dilute our shares, but actually also help us to develop the business, we would probably take it. But we didn't do any actual active funding campaigns to seek funding. So we just didn't focus on that at all. Decided to focus on the product development, and this makes your product also another side effect of this approach is that if you have growth, that means it's natural organic growth that is real, as opposed to when you use the money that you got from investors to grow. You could buy advertisements, you could do a lot of things that will sort of help you grow, but it's not necessarily organic. It could be just because you're spending a lot of money on it. Then you can buy and grow.
Plus what we have been talking about before, that you have been developing the product by yourself and manufacturing it by yourself in small scale. If you would grow very fast, very quickly, I think you're actually facing a serious issue, because going from the step where you're now to having a fully mature product with your own board is not something what you solve from one day till the other. So taking money and growing fast would also require you to focus on growing your tech team in the right way, so you're actually able to develop your own board and mature it within no time, so you're able to deliver on the demand what you create with that growth, with that external money.
Yeah, exactly. So it changes quite a lot of priorities and how you work, and I would say it really can disrupt from this creative thinking that I would say in the beginning maybe it's not growth as most important. In the beginning it's quality. At some point you will know that that now is the time. We have tested it with a few customers that are really liking what we're doing, because then you have to spend some time, I would say, with closed doors and we just narrow network of customers without scale, because that will just distract you again from the thinking and from innovation. So, but if you have a small group of close customers where you can test it and perfect something you're doing, and then at some point you see, maybe you have already 10 of them. You at some point then say, it seems like all of them are happy, and they're really providing us good feedback. So maybe now is the time to start scaling. And then usually at that later stage, you would actually could consider with much more benefit to getting this external funding, or maybe in a best case scenario, maybe by then you're already generating this from this first group of customers enough revenue to actually go forward and use the revenue money to grow it further. So that's the best case scenario, because then you keep the shares, you keep control, and you keep a lot of other things that you keep the definition of priorities. You can focus on technology, on user experience, on some innovation, rather than on driving it as to grow as soon as possible, which is what investors want, because they of course give you money in hopes that they could sell you 10 times more in a year or 3 years or so yeah, it's really a thing to consider.
Now, before we were looking at the hardware product in the form of a pyramid, what is placed on desks, and now I see a slide which is showing something much bigger. I see boardroom. What is this?
Yeah, actually, this is another one of very popular, maybe most popular hardware piece so far for Deskme is the meeting room screen. Obviously, as I mentioned, you can also use Deskme for booking meeting rooms, and this was most requested product so far because it enables some increased efficiency. Even if you just have one meeting room and one screen you put with it, you can immediately notice increased efficiency because it communicates again if room is booked or not, and it allows you to book it for just the time that you need from the screen, from outside of the meeting room. For some reason, people really have this kind of behavior that they connect. They would rather go to the room and book it right there next to the room on the screen instead of opening the app. I don't know why, because it's actually easier to open it and book it from the app. But maybe they're afraid that, okay, what if there's something difficult and I have to figure it out? So they say, okay, I always know that if I just go to the room and just press on the screen. So people actually do that a lot. So people really like it. And just an example of how it can improve efficiency. So we have this functionality to end the meeting with one tap of the button on the screen. So usually when people book rooms, for example, in corporate environments, it would be through Outlook. Let's say they plan a long meeting, like for 4 hours, and they booked it 4 hours, and then for some reason it happened, it ended earlier. It ended in 2 hours. So usually nobody bothers to go to the calendar and to edit that, to free up the time. So then others who might need the room still think it's occupied.
Right.
And only if it's so easy as just one tap as you leave the room, then people actually do it. Because people are lazy, of course. It's natural to be avoiding extra work. But if it's so little, then it's the only excuse that people can, okay, I will do it. and then some customers, even with one screen, told us that they notice improvement in efficiency of this utilization because people actually do that. But it does much more. So basically, here's like interface. So it allows you to see the map of the office space. You could actually check, let's say room is occupied, it will look like this. And you see who booked it and when is next available time. And then you can open the map and see, okay, what's the other room that is available, because you see the real-time status on the map as well. Then you can check the calendar, and then also we have some functionality to fight no-shows, which is another common problem in the offices when all the rooms are booked, but there are people only in some of them. Like I said, there's 10 rooms, all of them are booked, and only people in 8 of them. So 2 rooms, somebody didn't show up, and the reservation is still there. So it's a very common problem. So we, as one solution that we implemented, again, based on customer feedback and customer requests, it's like confirm functionality. So actually, you need to press confirm as you arrive to the room to make sure that Deskme knows that you are there. And then the reservation stays. And in case you don't show up, nobody presses confirm. After 15 minutes, it's canceled. And basically, somebody else can use the room if you didn't show up. So it is, and many other things that these screens make possible. Yeah, and a new version of hardware that I was just showing is actually, we just agreed with a factory in Shenzhen who produces them on our request to manufacture them. And they're like early version. Again, it was just easy solution. We just used a tablet. The cheapest tablet we could buy, it was Lenovo for a couple of $100 that would do all that we need. But of course, it's a consumer product that is not meant to be on all the time. So we faced some challenges, even though it was a huge success. We delivered very many of those. But yeah, this was the next step. In this case, it's a hardware meant to be mounted on the wall, meant to be working 24/7. It has NFC, which is also not common in tablets. So NFC scanner, so you could have a consistent experience of booking resources by your NFC key. It has a camera, so potentially you could enable like Face ID, so you could identify yourself just by looking at the camera, and then it book from your name, and many other things like power over Ethernet, LED frame, and so on. So this is something that, again, our recent visit to China made possible. We found the best possible hardware for this, and then we're actually making those available for our customers at nearly cost level, because it just improves our relationship and improves user experience that customers get. So we're very interested that they are able to afford it, and they're able to equip it in as many rooms as possible. So that's why we're trying to keep it as reasonable as possible for the prices regarding to our pricing strategy. And yeah, so it's just so yeah, indeed, as Hank noticed, we have already like 2 actively used hardware products that work in harmony with a digital layer application.
So what are now the next steps for Deskme? I mean, the app is ready. People can use your booking system. You have those tablets for on the walls of your meeting rooms. You have your prototypes for on the desks for easy office sharing. For I mean, a lot of cost efficiency. Especially bigger offices will save thousands of dollars a month with that. So what is the next step for Deskme?
Well, we have several fronts where we are progressing. One, of course, is on a hardware side. We are trying to find partners who could enable us to do this mass production, because we're not yet there, but we are now in touch with many potential partners. Most of them are in Shenzhen, actually, who could help us to do this mass-produced unit. And of course, it involves also redesigning it for mass production. So there's many things that go into that. So that's on the hardware side. But on business side, on application side, basically we are moving towards like building this network of locations, some of which might decide to share, with help of Deskme, share some of the resources that they don't utilize with the network. And this slowly will build into a big network of offices, so that you could have like one biggest office on the world connected with this Deskme experience that consists of all of those organizations that like either have it use it privately, so that it's just visible by employees of that one company, or they can share part of it, or they can even share the whole thing, like co-working spaces do. So, and we're trying to connect it eventually into one experience that you could use it to search for the office that you need, for membership, for a room, for meeting room, or for just hot desk, or a hot desk membership, and then enable such things as co-working roaming, so that several co-working chains could actually make a deal with each other and allow the other members of the other one to book, or to access even some resources for free in some limited quantity. So basically, maximizing the value that they give with their membership, because they could potentially have a huge network of partners where this membership also works to some extent. And then, even more importantly, enterprise deals. So one of the actually greatest things I think we're doing at Deskme is removing the barriers from enterprise customers to access those shared spaces and to access this flexibility. Now, for example, they have a lot of reasons why they don't want to use any of shared offices. There's privacy, there's like payment required, and some paperwork involved, and many other, and of course the core thing that they don't even know what is out there that is available. So we're trying to make it super transparent, like what resources are out there and how you can book them, and remove everything in between you and resources that you might need in terms of the office space. And this would affect any kind of organizations, basically. And so basically helping them, as I have the slide here about it, and organize efficient workspaces internally, and then optionally become part of the office network and take advantage of this, either sharing your resources and minimizing the cost, or maybe even making revenue, or buying some additional resources that you might need, or allowing your team to, for example, use the network whenever they need. So it's like 2 fronts, and we're building towards that in terms of overall like development and app experience.
I see you're going in a good direction.
Yeah, and actually maybe a few comments about this after this COVID situation. So actually, it's been happening always anyway before this whole crisis that we are experiencing with the social distancing and the remote work. But what it did is actually accelerated all of those processes that were happening anyway. And now we're getting much more requests, many more requests for this desk sharing in particular, because there's not so many players that offer that. There's many for room sharing, for example, but very few for desk sharing. And basically, we're actually having even some requests like, okay, could your solution help us by enable social distancing, like for example, and it actually can, for example, by disabling every second desk, and so that you can see, you can ensure that there is enough distance between people when they're working. Especially it's possible when offices are not utilized to the full capacity. And then again, another thing is people are asking, okay, but you can actually track it. Let's say when we opened our office after this like lockdown thing, we open it and we want to know like exactly who is sitting where on which day, so that in case we later find out that somebody was infected with the virus, they can actually go back and track everybody who were near that person and actually first check them, like if they are feeling okay, if they're, do this kind of investigation. So this is actually a very relevant topic in the office right now, and we're several times been asked about it. So it's something that that is happening. And of course, the main thing is this remote work. It's now on unprecedented level. People are doing it, many for the first time, and many learning about great advantages of remote work. So this completely again changes how offices are used. And this trend is there to stay, because once people take advantage, learn about the advantages of this remote work, they say, okay, why didn't I do it before? And many will continue to do it. So that's exactly what we are experiencing right now. Yeah, and it's really interesting.
I really can't wait for your first big order, because then I know you're going to knock on my door.
Absolutely, that is the plan.
I've seen two messages coming in the meantime. One I already posted, Camilo on Facebook, asking where's your hat. So I wanted to tell him he's either wearing his race car seat, or he's wearing his hat, but he can't do both at the same time.
Yeah, something like that actually. Or today I have like Asian theme today.
And we have Silver Stefano on YouTube, and he's just saying hello. And Silver, very welcome. Thank you for joining us here. Now, I think both of you have joined after the start, so please be aware that we will leave the recording on those channels, and you can see it back from the beginning, because actually Vitaly shared a lot of interesting details in the beginning of the live. So I would really advise after the live, see the begin also one more time back.
Mm-hmm. Yeah, indeed. And by the way, so here are some contacts for Deskme. We are on WeChat. Here's our website, and we have a very our, I guess, best communication channel is Facebook group, where we share some things. So if you like to connect, please feel free to do so. And also personally, me, Vitaly Stockman, so you can look me up on any of the social networks. I'm happy to tell you more about if it's something interesting, or even to share some of our story and how we've been coping with the difficulties and difficulties of bootstrapping, difficulties of of doing it by learning most of it, the hardware topic, and then slowly moving into this professional levels as we are now hoping to do.
I really think a lot of people can take an example from the way how you have been doing. And I mean, we have been talking a lot, but even I didn't know all those details. And I think you are kind of even kind of like a beacon for startups on how can you start your company basically with very little funding, progress continuously, develop a product, get good quality user feedback, get your reward, get the right people on board in your team, and how do you take it then from there to develop the real product and scale up, mass produce. I think you have done very well. You're a really interesting use case for this first Speak Up Saturday. I'm very happy that that you were willing to participate for this, and I'm really curious. to hear what people will feedback when they hear your story. Let me see if there are some new questions coming in. Okay, Silver. Is it suitable for all workspaces that offer this service? Do you try to specialize to insert this in FabLab network?
Actually, what is FabLab network? Actually, I'm not familiar. I know there is a Fab
Yeah, so
9.
now FabLab
Yes.
is kind of the same like a makerspace, but FabLab was initiated by MIT.
Oh,
So it means fabrication laboratory, and then short FabLab.
I see.
Which is basically a makerspace, and of course they have designed it very professional, and you can find Fab Labs under the brand Fab Lab now all around the world. But
Okay.
I think in this case, what Silver means is are co-work spaces and maker spaces also part of your audience?
Yeah, the answer is definitely yes. Even though originally we started it based on enterprise office environments. So that's where we were, and we've seen the problems the enterprise offices face with aggressive hot desking and what are the problems. So we try to solve that. But actually, we did this, the first concept we did on one of the hackathons. And the hackathon took place in a co-working space. And as soon as we did the demo, the CEO of the co-working space came to us and said, hey, this is also relevant for co-working spaces. And actually, that's when we had not really a pivot, but rather we just added this use case into the mix. And now, definitely, yes, it's actually a huge part of the story now, that we basically connect the co-working spaces with enterprise customers. And we also do something like we call co-working on demand even. So you could actually turn any office into co-working space with a switch of the privacy button. So it's quite amazing. So that, and of course, that's the whole purpose. It doesn't matter what office it is. Is it a co-working space or a normal office? It's part of the network. And that means it can be like shared anytime. Well, of course, if you want, only if it's appropriate, or you can share like part of the office. And absolutely, co-working spaces are a big part of this whole concept, and they're a very important part because they allow this kind of flexibility and scaling potential. And we are definitely talking to some networks of co-working spaces to join and to open up through Deskme. And again, our strategy was first to make such experience that they would want to have in the first place. So not like many of these like co-working membership application like coworker.com or some others that are trying to like just make you a sales platform and that where you can list your co-working space and then maybe somebody once in a while signs up. It's not our path. Our path is to actually to have the whole full experience internally in your location. So that's something you would use even if you didn't share your office. You would use internally and you would really like it. So that's our like secret weapon, that when people really are happy with experience internally, and that's what we suspect that will make the growth possible, that because it's a big resistance from people to use any product. So it really has to be good to be like widespread, and
Right.
only if it's really good that it makes them save their time, then they will use it. And in our case, what huge advantage we get is that then we get exposure to the data, the real-time data about availability of resources, and we could use that very, very unique resource to enable this office sharing possibility. So it's a huge difference between knowing that some space has 10 meeting rooms and some of them may be available, and the cost should be around this. That's how most systems like that work, that these listing services. Or versus when we know exactly that on this particular day they have 20 meeting rooms and 5 of them are still free, and we know exactly which times are free. So it's a huge difference between this and that, and that's, I think, huge capability to build upon this kind of framework.
Vitaly, I think my last question would be, what question should I have asked but I didn't ask?
Okay. Well, you asked actually quite a lot. Maybe about when are we coming back to visit Shenzhen next time?
Yeah, I'm really waiting for that.
Well, yeah. I'm actually also really looking forward. And by the way, also before we end, I'd like to also share a bit that in case somebody is not aware, like Henk is there in Shenzhen running amazing troublemaker community that is meant to help companies like Deskme who are just beginning with hardware, or even if they're advanced already, that doesn't matter, to connect with all this network of potential partners, potential manufacturing partners, engineers, suppliers of components, which is a big like forest otherwise that you can get lost very easily if you are new to this. And that's exactly where we were. But there is definitely resources that like people like Ken can provide that completely change the whole situation. So I hope that also there's more people know about this amazing resource by just knowing Henk and troublemaker community.
Thanks a lot, Vitaly. Yeah. I mean, that's what we have been working on very hard in these 4 years, and it worked. I mean, we have helped a crazy amount of startups from just people like who are just dreamers with really with a dream and a plan, to startups with a lot of funding and a big team, and who really needed just professional help with design for manufacturing and get the product in manufacturing. And it's always a great pleasure to see people reaching the results, what they were looking for, where they know they want to come to China, and they know there is basically no alternative for them, and they are a little bit stressed out about it because there are a lot of potential pitfalls, and where there is just a team ready for them that can basically hold their hand on their first steps into China, on a community base where you're not just like emptying your pocket on big engineering companies, and as soon as you're ready to go by yourself, you can do that, and you can just keep running your own company. You don't lose equity, you don't empty your pockets, and you learn a lot. You meet a lot of new friends, and even when you continue in China by yourself after that, you stay, you keep those friends and you keep the community on your side. So there's always a place where you can ask questions. And I think this is what attracts most people in what we do. And it's really a blessing to be able to do this.
Yeah.
Okay, let's wrap it up. We are already like over an hour, and the time flies when you're having fun. I think it's for this first Speak Up Saturday, I think this is a good time. I thought maybe we would stay here for half an hour, and we've been talking for an hour, and it kept interesting. I mean, there was no reason to cut it short. So I'm really happy with this. But also for the replay, I think if we're going to make it 2 hours, maybe people will be hesitant to start watching the replay. So let's keep the last secrets for maybe another time, or your progress. And thank you very much for joining me today. Again, everyone, today we were talking with Vitaly Stockman of Deskme.com. It's a smart office sharing solution with different types of software and hardware for your co-work space, for your office, to save literally thousands of dollars a month. Thank you very much, Vitaly.
Thank you very much, Henk. Really appreciate this opportunity to share what we do. And I'm looking forward to engaging more with the community that you have. And good luck with your manufacturing Zen course. And we stay in touch, as always.
Okay.
Yeah. Cheers.
Thanks a lot. Bye-bye.
Thank you.